Let's get ready to settle in. Welcome, friends, to our meditation time. Let's first individually begin to settle in, and then collectively we'll join our breath together. But first, you on your own, just get comfortable. Just allow yourself to really settle, anchor into that spot you've chosen. Allow your eyes to close if that feels right. And just notice what's going on in your head. Notice their thoughts, if there's chatter, if there's stuff that might be distracting, and just see it. Recognize that it's there. We don't automatically sit down in meditation and all those things just turn off. We have to be aware of them. And then let's see if we can maybe use our breath to begin to separate them from them just ever so slightly. Just one breath at a time, little by little. So together, let's take a slow, gentle breath in. And then just as gently exhale, let it go. And then again, a slow, gentle breath in. Exhale, let it go. And one more, breathing in the full expansion of this present moment that we are sharing. And breathing out with this signifying that we want to move away from those distractions. And then from there, you just find a rhythm of breath that feels good. Because we are on our journey through the Yoga Sutras. And through these sutras, Patanjali, this amazing author from so long ago, has brought us these 8 limbs of yoga, these 8 practical ways of living out these practices in our life. We've sat with these interactions with the world, these yamas, these how we show up in the world, how we treat people. We've meditated on what they look like, how they feel. We've sat with these niyamas, these ways that we interact with ourselves. How good are we at truly pausing to check the way that we're treating us? And then before Patanjali goes on to tell us the rest of these limbs that are so practical and so useful to our lives, he pauses with Yoga Sutra 2, verse 33. And he basically says, and I am paraphrasing, you're learning these tools, you are trying to embody these practices, but the life around you, the world around you is still challenging. There are still things that you're going to encounter. There are still things that you're going to have to navigate that are hard. And he warns us and he says it's going to be really easy for you to go to the negative, for you to look at that challenge, for you to feel suffering on your body, for you to feel it in your heart, and for you to become discouraged and negative. And he said, I've taught you about how to interact with the world, and I've taught you about how to interact with yourself, but now I want to tell you, what do you do when the mind immediately goes to everything that's wrong? What do you do when the mind goes to the spot that is negative and then gets stuck there? And I love the fact that nearly 3,000 years ago, he was already thinking of that for us. And I believe that through the generations, people before us have struggled with this very same thing. They suffered. They had challenges, and their mind got stuck in the negativity of it all. So there's nothing unique or special about the time in which we're living, because within this human being part of us where these emotions reside, it's really easy to go to the negative. For some of us, maybe it's almost become your default. But what Patanjali said thousands of years ago, and what still applies to us today, is there's a way to choose something different. He gives us this Sanskrit term that's called Pratipaksa Bhavanam. Pratipaksa Bhavanam. And what that means, whenever you translate it, I love this, it means manifesting the opposite. Manifesting the opposite. It's not just replacing negative words with positive ones. It is truly manifesting the opposite in your spirit. When I am struggling, the way to manifest the opposite is to find something for which I can be grateful. Not about the suffering, because the suffering does not define our entire lives. There are things for which we can be grateful even in the midst of suffering. So this Pratipaksa Bhavanam, this manifesting the opposite when we are suffering, remind yourself what you're grateful for. When you are encountering difficult people, and that's the challenge that you're trying to work through, and the mind has gone to the negative, and you're being drawn in to the difficulties of the situation. Pratipaksa Bhavanam, this manifesting the opposite. Instead of being drawn to that, go back to your breath. That situation will still be there. That difficult person will most likely still be difficult. But your focus on your breath will change how you navigate it. Manifest the opposite. When your heart has become broken, when you are experiencing loss or sorrow, you still need to feel these things. But Patanjali has said you can't allow yourself to get stuck in any of these situations that bring you hurt, that cause you pain. And so this idea of Pratipaksa Bhavanam, when you are in deep sorrow, how do you manifest the opposite there? You bring compassion to yourself. You bring love and patience and compassion to you. Yes, you are still feeling the loss, but you allow yourself to feel the love that you have for you. And I could go on and on with so many different examples, because we encounter suffering and hardship and challenges and sorrow almost daily. So how do we manifest the opposite? How do we do that practically in our lives? I think it's interesting that he follows his sutras on the niyamas, these personal behaviors, these interactions with ourselves, with this particular verse. So he's just told us about how to keep our mind clean, how to keep our mind clear. He's just told us about how to feel contentment, how to hold on to it. He's just told us about how to have self-discipline and fire that keeps us moving forward. He's also just told us about this concept of svalyaya, this self-study of knowing ourselves so well because we sit with ourselves so often. And he's also just told us about Ishvara Pranadhana, this teaching that talks about surrender to the divine force. How you name or call out this force in the universe of creation, of divinity, of the highest consciousness that you can imagine. And I don't think it's an accident that the next verse is when he tells us, when things get hard, manifest the opposite. Go back to that contentment. Go back to that self-discipline. Go back to that surrender to the divine. Rest there. Don't get stuck in the negative parts. Don't get stuck in the mindsets that cause you harm. Rest in the contentment. Think about the things that you're grateful for. Rest in the surrender, remembering that you don't have to do it all yourself. Rest in the tapas, remembering that you have practices in your life that you can rely on again and again and again. Pratipaksa, Bhavanam. Manifest the opposite. When many of us have raised our children, most likely there was a time that your kid came home and talked about how someone had hurt their feelings. And as good parents with very limited ideas of what to say and very limited knowledge, we probably said something about ignoring it, right? Or letting it just bounce off. And in our limited scope as young parents, that advice was good. It was all that we had. But what if today, all the people in your life that you care about, your kids, your grandkids, your spouses, your dear friends, your siblings, what if instead of just telling them, just ignore what's happening? Just let it bounce off your skin, your heart. What if you could teach them this idea of Pratipaksa, Bhavanam? Manifest the opposite. Manifest what you want to see in your life. Don't let people and situations harm you. Don't let them draw you into negativity. Don't let their energy lead you down a path that you never intended to go down. Manifest the opposite. Imagine a world like that, where we all still suffer, where we are all challenged by people in our path, where we all feel emotional and physical pain. But within the purity of our spirit, the untouched part of us, we can manifest the opposite. There's a name for this heart energy that sits right there at the center. It's the energy of anahata in Sanskrit, but when you translate it, it means unstruck, unhurt, unbroken. Meaning that we don't let those things around us seep into our heart center. We truly manifest the opposite. We protect the purity, the light that resides in each of us. And so as we sit for just these next couple of minutes on our own, I would invite you just to notice. Maybe you've already called it into your mind, but just notice what's the challenge that you are encountering right now in your life. What's the hardship? What's the suffering? And how have you been showing up for it? And how could you manifest the opposite? Again, it's not just replacing the negative words with I'm happy. It is truly going back to the heart center and manifesting something different. So just see it. See the challenge. And see a change in your response. And continue to breathe. Continue to be. as you just continue just to sit with whatever your thing is, think about how you feel when you are exhausted, when you haven't been sleeping well or you haven't been sleeping enough, and then something happens the next day that on most days would seem kind of small, maybe just as an inconvenience, but on that day when you are tired, when you are depleted, that thing is magnified. It seems huge. And so the way to combat that is we need better sleep. We need more sleep. The same thing happens with this Yoga Sutra. If we aren't taking care of this unstruck, pure light center of us, when those hard times come, because they will, all we'll see is the difficulty and the negativity. All we'll see is the suffering. And it will feel magnified. It will feel gigantic. But through this practice, if we continue to cultivate this unstruck, unhurt, unbroken center of us, we will have everything we need within us to practice this Pratipaksa, Bhavanam, to manifest the opposite. We will still suffer. We will still hurt. But it will not change the beautiful soul of who we each are. Hold on to that. Watch as you go through life, as you experience these difficulties this week. And just commit. I want to manifest the opposite, and it's going to come from the place at the center of my being where I am unstruck, unhurt, and unbroken. And from that place, I will truly be able to manifest the opposite. Namaste.